I walked into that packed courtroom, and the entire atmosphere changed in a heartbeat. My daughter Emily started giggling nervously from the front row, not knowing what was about to happen. My son-in-law Ryan shook his head in complete disbelief, his face turning pale. The judge, who had been so confident and in control just moments earlier, suddenly turned white as a ghost. His hands were shaking badly as he leaned forward and whispered in shock, "Is that really him?" Everyone in the courtroom turned around fast, staring directly at me. The whole room went completely silent the moment they saw my face. Nobody had a clue who I truly was or the kind of power I carried. Hey everyone, welcome to Behind Dad. If you love intense true stories filled with family betrayal, shocking secrets, courtroom drama, and sweet justice, then hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. This story has one of the most jaw-dropping twists you will ever hear. Stay with me because it only gets better. It all started almost 2 years earlier when my beautiful daughter Emily married Ryan. From the very beginning, he seemed like the perfect man. Charming, well-spoken, always dressed nicely, and saying all the right things at family dinners. He brought flowers for Emily, helped me with yard work, and acted like the ideal son-in-law. But I noticed small things that didn't sit right with me. The expensive watches and clothes he wore that didn't match his salary. The sudden mysterious business trips where he was unreachable for days. The way he cleverly avoided answering any deep questions about his past or family background. I kept my concerns to myself at first. I didn't want to ruin my daughter's happiness. She was glowing, completely in love, and planning their future together. She looked at Ryan like he hung the moon. As her father, I wanted to support her, but that deep fatherly instinct kept nagging at me that something was very wrong with this man. So I decided to start digging quietly on my own, without telling anyone. What I uncovered over the following months left me shocked, angry, and determined. Ryan wasn't just cheating or telling small lies. He was running a sophisticated, large-scale fraud scheme, stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from innocent families, including some of our own close friends in the community. When the authorities finally built a strong enough case and arrested him, it became a high-profile trial. Emily stood by his side in the beginning, believing he was innocent and that it was all one big misunderstanding. She defended him fiercely, but I knew the full ugly truth, and I had been quietly preparing for this exact day in court for a very long time. As I walked slowly down the aisle toward the witness stand wearing my dark suit, every single person in that courtroom had their eyes locked on me. The silence was so heavy you could hear a pin drop. For the past 25 years, I had lived a quiet, simple, and peaceful life in our small town in Ohio. I coached youth baseball, fixed old cars in my garage on weekends, attended every school play and dance recital, and tried my best to be the kind of dad Emily could always count on. No one in our neighborhood, or even in our extended family, knew about my real past. Before I became the regular suburban dad everyone loved, I was one of the most respected and feared federal prosecutors in the entire Midwest. I had spent years taking down some of the biggest white-collar criminals, fraud rings, and corrupt businessmen in the region. After many intense and dangerous years, I made the choice to walk away from that world completely so I could raise my daughter in safety and normalcy. Ryan had no idea whose family he had married into. When his trial began, his defense lawyer looked extremely cocky and overconfident. He thought this would be an easy victory against an ordinary family man with no real power. But the second I stepped into the courtroom that day, the judge, who was an old colleague and friend from my prosecutor days, recognized me immediately. That's exactly why his hands started shaking so badly and why his face went pale. He had personally watched me destroy cases much bigger and more complicated than Ryan's. I took my seat on the witness stand and looked my son-in-law directly in the eyes. His once arrogant and confident expression completely crumbled within seconds. Emily sat right in the front row, her face filled with confusion, pain, and growing fear. She still didn't understand why the judge and everyone else was reacting so strongly just because her own father had walked in. I began speaking in a calm, steady, and clear voice. I presented the rock-solid evidence I had carefully gathered over many months: detailed bank records, secret emails, hidden offshore accounts, and private voice recordings that proved without any doubt that Ryan had been lying to everyone, including my trusting daughter. The lead prosecutor handed me documents one by one. With every piece of evidence I explained in detail, Ryan's face grew paler and more desperate. His lawyer kept trying to object loudly, but the judge shut him down quickly every single time. The tension inside that courtroom was so thick it felt electric. Nobody in the room expected the quiet, friendly dad from the suburbs to be the man who could single-handedly bring Ryan's entire fraudulent world crashing down. As I continued my powerful testimony, the full horror of Ryan's crimes hit every person in that courtroom like a heavy wave. I carefully explained how he had stolen life savings from elderly couples who trusted him, created dozens of fake business deals, and even used my daughter Emily's personal information and social security number to open fraudulent accounts without her knowing. Tears were streaming down Emily's face as the devastating truth finally sank deep into her heart. Ryan kept shaking his head frantically and whispering desperately to his lawyer, but there was nowhere left for him to run or hide anymore. The judge kept glancing over at me with a mixture of deep respect and complete surprise. 20 years ago, we had worked together successfully on several major high-stakes cases. He never imagined in a million years that he would see me again, especially not testifying against my own son-in-law. The silence in the courtroom became almost unbearable every time I spoke. Even the bailiff and the court staff looked stunned by the dramatic revelation unfolding in front of them. Ryan's mother broke down, sobbing loudly from the back row. His father stared blankly at the floor in total shame and embarrassment. I remained completely professional and composed the entire time, but inside my heart was breaking for my daughter. She had trusted this man with her love, her dreams, and her entire future. When the judge finally asked if I had anything else to add, I looked straight into Ryan's eyes and said slowly and clearly, "You picked the wrong family to betray." That single powerful moment broke something deep inside Emily. She finally saw the real Ryan, the cold manipulator who had lied to her for years. By the time I finished my full testimony, the case was practically over. The mountain of evidence I presented was completely overwhelming and undeniable. Ryan's once smug and arrogant attitude had vanished entirely, replaced by pure fear and panic after that intense and emotional day in court. Everything began moving very quickly. Ryan was found guilty on multiple serious counts of fraud and financial crimes. The judge sentenced him to 12 long years in federal prison with no possibility of early release. Emily filed for divorce the very next week. She was completely heartbroken at first and spent many days crying, but underneath all that pain, a new fire and strength started growing inside her. She moved back home with me for several months while she worked through the betrayal and trauma. We spent countless long evenings sitting together on the back porch, talking for hours about everything that had happened. She asked me many difficult questions about my secret past as a federal prosecutor. I explained honestly that I had wanted her to grow up with a normal, peaceful childhood, far away from the dark and dangerous world I used to face every single day. I never wanted that life to touch her. But when Ryan put her in real danger and stole from innocent people, I had no choice but to step back into my old role and protect her with everything I had. Slowly but surely, Emily started to heal and rebuild her life. She returned to college, finished her degree with honors, and even began volunteering at a local women's support center, helping other women who had been through similar emotional abuse and betrayal. Watching my daughter regain her confidence, smile again, and become stronger than ever was the greatest reward any father could ask for. Ryan tried sending multiple letters from prison, but Emily never opened even a single one. She was finally free from his control. The day the final verdict was read in court, the same judge shook my hand privately afterward and told me how proud he was of the sacrifice I had made to protect my family. For the first time in many years, I felt completely at peace with the difficult choice I had made. 1 full year has now passed since that unforgettable day I walked into the courtroom. Emily is doing incredibly well in her life. She has a great new job that she loves, a supportive circle of new friends, and a quiet but powerful inner strength that makes me more proud than I can put into words. She still lives with me for now, while she continues building her independent future, but she's excited and optimistic about moving into her own place soon. I never planned or wanted to return to that intense courtroom world again, but I'm deeply grateful that I did it when it mattered most for her. Sometimes being a real father means you have to reveal secrets you hoped would stay buried forever. That single dramatic moment when I walked in and the whole courtroom went completely silent after seeing my face became the turning point that ultimately saved my daughter's future and gave her a second chance at happiness. If you're a parent watching this story right now, I want you to hear this clearly. Never ignore that deep gut feeling when something feels wrong about your child's partner. Trust your instincts, stay alert, and be ready to stand up and fight hard when your family needs you. If this powerful true story shocked you, moved you, or inspired you, please drop a comment below and tell me honestly. Would you reveal your own hidden past to protect your daughter or son? Share this video with any dad, mom, or parent who needs to hear this important message. Thank you so much for watching all the way until the very end. I'm David, and this was my true story. Always protect your family, trust your instincts, and never be afraid to do what's right. Stay strong out there. I'll see you in the next one.